Good morning, how you doing? It's Phil Thatch. I'm on a little bridge that goes over a creek called Roaring Creek, and I'm going to do some waterfall photography today. We have had lots and lots of rain over the last week or so, and then the rain stopped for about a day, and then it rained all day yesterday and all night last night. And I'm not taking a picture of a waterfall on Roaring Creek. I'm taking a picture of a waterfall that's on a little tributary of Roaring Creek called Stairstep Falls. This is only the second time that I've come here, and the first time I've ever come here by myself. So hopefully I can find it. I came here the first time with Ron and Ricky, so I really appreciate them showing me where this is, because it's a beautiful falls, but you have to have a lot of water flow for it to look good, because it's a really small tributary. So I'm going to attempt to find it now, and I'll let you know how that goes. I think this is one of those trails that Ron would call a social trail. It's not actually cut into the forest and marked and maintained. It's just kind of, in some parts of it, it looks like a trail, but in some other parts of it, it looks more just like a bushwhack. And when it's a bushwhack, that may be when I'm not on the social trail. But yeah, I think I've found the trail again. But look, there's so much water here. For example, you can see even where I'm walking now is 2 or 3 inches deep. It may be too much water when I get up here. I have to actually cross over the little creek that feeds into the big Roaring Creek, and it may be too deep for me to cross, but we'll see. I'm getting closer. Okay, I have arrived at the place where you cross this tiny creek, and then there's 3 levels of this thing, and I don't know if I can cross this or not. It's really flowing hard. Yeah, there's the bottom, there's 3 tiers. The very top tier has a boulder in the middle of it that the stream goes around. And the creeks were flowing really hard when Ron and Ricky and I came that day, but I believe they're flowing harder right now. So I'm gonna put this camera up, and I'm gonna get my tripod out and use it kind of as a walking stick and see if I can get across this thing. Okay, I did make it across, and my destination is up there, but when I come back down, I'm definitely gonna try to make a photo of this as well. This is really awesome. My path now, if I remember correctly, you go that way and you climb the hill around these big boulders. So off I go. I found it. I finally found it. I didn't take the same path, I don't think, that Ron and Ricky took me on. I actually climbed up the side of this mountain too far, and then I cut over and had to come back down to get to right here, which is kind of the sweet spot. And today I'm using the Canon R6 Mark II, and I've got the EF 17-40 f4L on the camera, and I'm going to use Maven filters. So I'll check back in when I get my composition set up. In between shots, I'm putting the Maven magnetic filter cap on because I'm getting hit with mist, and it's real easy to wipe the mist off of these filters. I didn't have very good luck blowing it off with a bulb blower, but I can wipe it off with a microfiber cloth really easily. And I started out with the 3-stop neutral density, which is red, and the blue circular polarizer, and that was giving me just a little bit too long of an exposure for this waterfall. So I took that off, and then I stopped down, gosh, I'm not sure where I stopped down to. I stopped down to about f16 in the end and started shooting at 1/4 of a second. For a while I was doing a little bit faster than that, but 1/4 gives you plenty of flow, and it doesn't mush it up too much. So I got really hot when I was climbing up here. I've got on 2 t-shirts and this thermal long sleeve shirt, but now that I'm standing up here getting blasted with mist, it's getting kind of cold. It's in the 40s today Fahrenheit, and man, this place is awesome. I don't want to stay here too long. There's not 50 million compositions, or maybe there are and I just can't find them. You know, to me it's just kind of shoot the waterfall. There's these two trees right here that look nice in the shot, and with the ultra wide they look like they're further away than they are. So that's kind of part of my composition. My first shot I did straight at it, but as you can see right now the camera is faced not at the waterfall but away from the waterfall, which gives me the waterfall kind of starting at the top right and going down to the bottom left. So that might be pretty cool. Let's check it out. The name of this little creek that flows down the mountain and into Roaring Creek is actually Flora Branch. And some people, I have learned, call this waterfall Flora Branch Falls, but I've learned it as Stairstep Falls, and that's what I'm going to keep on calling it. And here's the photograph I made of it, and I think it turned out pretty nice. A little 17mm shot at f/16, 1/4 of a second using the Maven circular polarizer, and just a great amount of flow to make this waterfall look beautiful. Unless it has rained a very large amount, you don't want to visit this one because it will be just a trickle. But it was definitely flowing nicely on this day. I brought my 24-105 f4L, which is an RF lens, but I haven't used it at all yet because I've needed ultra wide, and I'm using my adapted 17-40 f4, which I just love that lens. It's such a great lens, and I got it on sale new for 499 bucks. What a steal. So now I'm going to make my way down the mountain and try to shoot some of the lower levels of this awesome falls. I've come down here a couple of levels down from the main and prettiest part, I think, of the waterfall, and I'm trying to get some shots, and I'm kind of on a race against time. I don't know if you can see, but there's sunlight coming in, and I have to be careful to keep that out because it kind of ruins the shot. But I'm not using the 17mm end of this 17-40 lens, and that's one of the great things about this lens is even though it's an ultra wide lens, which I think anything wider than 24, so starting at 23 you're on ultra wide, it's not super ultra wide. It doesn't go all the way to 14 or 12 like some lenses do, but 17 is pretty doggone wide. But you can also go all the way to 40. Like right now I'm shooting at 29 or 30mm, which if I had a 14-24 on, I'd have to change lenses. So I really love this lens, especially for the money. I set up right here and still using the 17-40. I made a timer selfie and I scampered over there and stuck my foot in the water right behind that beautiful little beech tree. And so you got kind of the waterfall and me over there. And if you ever see a video sometime down the road, which I don't even know if I'm ever actually going to complete, where I'm testing some brand new and unusual lens that looks a lot like this shot, it's not the shot that I'm showing you right now. I made the same shot with a different camera and different lens. So like I say, if you see this shot down the road in a different video, it is a different shot. I ended up not liking the way any of the photographs looked of this section of the waterfall, except for the ones that had me in them. So that's the ones I'm going to share with you. Without me in the shot, it looks like just a tiny little trickle of a waterfall, but with a 6'3" tall man standing in the bottom corner of the shot, you can tell how big this waterfall is as Flora Branch makes its way down the mountain. As a matter of fact, if you look where I have the arrow on the screen now, at the very top of the picture, just that very top section is where the previous photograph was made. And I've kind of started calling that Upper Stairstep Falls, or maybe it's Flora Branch Falls. I don't know. I just know it's really beautiful, and I'm glad I'm getting to share it with you. I was just about to leave. I said, okay, I'm done. And then as I was crossing the creek to head back towards the trailhead, I saw a spot right there as I was crossing. It looked pretty good. So I got the camera back out, set it back up, made a few shots, and the camera is way down there. And I climbed way up here on these boulders and made a selfie using the VR E1 Bluetooth remote. So hopefully that looks cool. This is not the photograph that I was talking about in the previous clip, but the camera is set up in the exact same spot and it's the exact same composition. Only in this one, I'm up in the foreground, and this one has much more balance. You have some trees on the right and the waterfall in the middle, and the big dorky man trying to look tough on the left-hand side of the frame. And that gives you kind of a rule of odds composition that I really like. But the shot that I described to you, where I was sitting on these boulders where the arrow is pointing now, the shot wasn't very balanced at all, and I was so tiny in the frame you could barely even see me. So this rule of odds version is the one I decided to share with you. I made it back across the creek, which is pretty tame compared to some of the other climbing I did while I was making these photographs. But when I first got here, it was the hardest thing I'd done so far on this hike. But now I'm going to make my way back to the car if I can figure this social trail out and put this together for you. And gosh, I appreciate you joining me for this little waterfall adventure at Stairstep Falls in Graysville, Tennessee. And again, I want to thank Ron and Ricky, who brought me here the first time, and that was 13 months ago in November of 21. And this is mid-December, kind of almost 2/3 of the way through December of 2022. So I kind of remembered how to get there, and I never would have found it if it wasn't for them. So thanks to them, and thanks to you for joining me. If you like this content, I would greatly appreciate a thumbs up. And if you want to see some more stuff like this, and also wildlife and street photography, macro will come back when summertime rolls back around, or spring. Just all sorts of stuff. Sports, I got lots of sports photography on the way. Subscribe if you want to see some of that kind of stuff. Hit the notification bell if you want to be reminded about it. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye bye from Stairstep Falls in Graysville, Tennessee.